Welcome back to EC3 Really Cooks. My dear friend, sous chef, and co-teacher Bobby Thompson going around the kitchen getting some things together. I am Roger Ramsey. I'm the executive chef instructor of the Culinary Pathway here at the Hardin County Schools Early College and Career Center. Today we're going to put together some Chinese takeout food. Neither one of us are Chinese, but most of the takeout food we get neither. So we're going to make some egg rolls because I like them. Some crab ragoons because my wife likes those. We'll do a little chicken fried rice. I will put together some kung pao shrimp, a little sweet and spicy. And I think Mr. Bobby, he's working on some General Tso's chicken. So hang out with us. If you like something you see, shoot us an email. If you want some recipes, Miss Alexis Lee or Sue Tarver will get those attached to it, or let us know. So hang out with us. We'll make some food. I'll be right back.
Welcome back to EC3 Really Cooks. Today our chef's tip is going to be how to cube up or dice up a carrot. It's a very simple task. First thing you really need to do is start with a sharp knife. Again, Chef Ramsey and I sharpen our knives often just to keep them that way. It makes it safer to cut. The cuts are cleaner, and overall it improves the process, or actually speeds it up just a little bit. So I took a plain carrot. I have already peeled that carrot. Now I'm going to cut it into a little bit more manageable pieces. But what we want to do with our carrot, first of all, is make it into a box. So we're going to cut one side, make it flat. Now we'll lay it down, set aside our scraps. And then I'm just going to turn this 90 degrees each time so I have a flat surface to cut with. Now these pieces of scrap that I've set off to the side, I'll eventually, I can use those in a stock, throw them into a pot. I julienne them today. We're going to do some stuff with egg rolls. We can probably put those in there. There's a lot of different things you can do with the scrap part. But what you need is more of this box. So the first cut after that is going to be, we're going to cut this into planks. So I end up with 4 planks. Now, you can do this with a potato just as well. And at this point, if you had a potato, you could then put it into matchsticks or French fries and cut however you would like them to be. It's the exact same process. For us though, I like a very, very small dice on basically everything that I cook. I like the flavor of the vegetables. I don't necessarily like always the texture of them. So what we do is we'll take, I'm just going to do 2 planks at once, and we're going to make them into matchsticks. And I'm probably in the range of 1/8 of an inch today. So I have all of my little matchsticks. I'll line these up. And you just have to hold them down and this is how you small dice a carrot. When we come back, we'll have more recipes. It is Chinese takeout day, and we will be back very shortly. Welcome back to EC3 Really Cooks. Today is our Chinese takeout day, and I'm going to do General Tso's chicken. The first thing we did, we cubed up our chicken. Didn't take very long. We have chicken breast. We'll cube those up. We're going to toss it with about half a cup of cornstarch, and what we want to do is make sure that all the pieces get coated. And what the cornstarch does is it actually allows the chicken to hold the sauce a little bit better. It also allows it, because we are going to brown these up. It's not like it makes fried chicken, but it does add just a little bit of a coating, a little bit of crispness to the outside, but what it really does is it will hold the sauce once we put that on there. Okay, so we've got just about all of them evenly coated. You don't want any with big lumps in them. Okay. Set that aside right now. What we're going to do now is actually make our sauce. So we have 6 tablespoons of soy sauce. We have half a cup of water. 6 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar. We have 6 tablespoons of sugar, 4 tablespoons of hoisin sauce, which is a very thick sauce. In there. And then actually have 2 more tablespoons of cornstarch. So we're just going to whisk this up, and we'll whisk it here, and then right before we pour it in, we're going to whisk it again. Because what happens a lot of times is the sugars will all go to the bottom, and you don't want that. So we'll just set this aside. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start. It does not have to be a wok that you use. We're very fortunate here. We have woks that come with rings. Just set the ring down there. Now, a wok heats up really, really quickly. Okay? How you check the temperature, hold your hand a couple inches above the cooking surface, and when you can't hold it there more than 3 or 4 seconds, it's hot enough. We're getting there pretty quickly. We're just going to have a couple of tablespoons of oil. And what you'll see is your oil, you guys can't see it on TV, but it'll start to kind of shake a little bit. And when it starts to, that means it's about ready. You also can tilt it around, and if it moves like water, you're ready to go. So, I'm going to toss our pieces of chicken, and if you can, I'm sure you can all hear it. They are starting to sizzle. This will take probably 3 or 4 minutes for us to get this Again, you want each piece to be, So we're just going to try to brown each one of these pieces. On a stove, that works really, really well because it doesn't move as much. On our portable cooktop here, doesn't work quite as well. So again, we're just going to try to brown each side. We're going to add a little bit more oil. You can add salt and pepper at this point. But again, the seasoning is really going to come from the sauce that we made. Say this, when you are cooking with a wok, it is a fast cook. Again, this pan will get very, very hot very, very quickly. One of the great things about Chinese food in general, it can be made up, like we do stir fry at my house, and we'll have pieces of chicken, we'll have, we can have beef, we'll have pork, and then you kind of throw in the vegetables that are, you know, about to expire or just didn't have enough for a type of salad or something. All mix it in, put yourself a good sauce on it, and it'll taste delicious, and it's pretty quickly. And again, what we do is, at my house, it's more for our leftovers. We'll just get all those together. I got that from my dad. He used to do that to us. But it made me appreciate it more. And now I do it at my house. Saves you a little bit of money. your pieces of chicken, or whatever you want to do, the smaller the cut, the faster they will cook. We have these in a little bit larger pieces. All right. So they'll take just a little bit longer. You want to make sure nothing gets stuck to the pan. Kind of why we're constantly moving it and turning it. And my bet is at some point today, Chef or I will burn ourselves because the entire pan gets hot really, really fast. Another thing with the woks that we use, they retain heat really well and for a long time. All right, almost finished. What you want to do when you're looking at chicken to see if it's done or not, there will be liquid that comes out of the chicken. When you first start with raw chicken, it'll be a pinkish color. When the juice that starts coming out is clear, that is when the chicken has been cooked. You want to have it to 165 degrees internal temperature. That kills off all of the disease-causing bacteria. With pork, you don't have to have it as high. With beef, it doesn't have to be as high. But with poultry in general, you need to have it 165 before you serve it. Now that my chicken is all brown, we're going to remove the chicken, not necessarily the oil from the chicken. Try to keep that in the pan. There'll be small bits of chicken that are still in your wok. It's okay. We've got about a tablespoon worth of oil in there now. It'll get back pretty hot. And then we're going to add in 4 cloves of garlic, 2 tablespoons of minced ginger, and about a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. Toss this around. This will not take any time at all to cook. Again, I wish we had smell-o-vision because this really smells good. And all you're trying to do in these 30 seconds or so that you cook this is trying to release the flavors that are inside the ginger, inside the garlic, and the red pepper flakes really just add a little bit of a kick. We're going to begin whisk our sauce one more time. Pour it in. Now we want to make sure we get all of that garlic and ginger into the sauce. Garlic burns pretty quickly, so we always say mise en place before you start, which is everything that's placed. Get all your prep stuff there immediately as you go in. Now this has cornstarch in it, which we put in at the beginning. Cornstarch will actually cause this to thicken up a little bit. Cornstarch that's on the chicken will also help thicken it up. We're going to mix everything together. Give us a little bit more heat. let this come up and it will thicken as it continues to heat, and then we'll be ready to serve. When we come back, we will have our finished dish here for you to show you exactly how all of this came together. We'll also add some sides as well.
Welcome back, folks. We're blessed in this area. We've got quite a few places where you can get pretty good Chinese food. They'll bring it right to your door. We also have the building with a few little tricks, a few pantry ingredients we can make our own. My wife greatly enjoys crab ragoons. I think they're Cantonese, I'm not sure, but I know they're easy to make. Well, let's talk about the crab real quick. This came from Mrs. Kroger's, and it's crab claw meat. It is not the best crab in the world. It's kind of brownish, it's a little funny color, but it's real crab. And even being the inexpensive crab, it's still about $25 a pound. It's labor intensive to harvest the crab because they're little critters. They don't have a whole bunch of meat inside the shell. The folks get paid to break those shells up and use picks to pull out all that nice meat. It's expensive. It's good. This says Crab Delights. It's officially referred to as crab with a K, even though it really has a C. That's a product called surimi. Surimi's not crab. They flavor it to taste like crab. They also flavor it to taste like lobster, a few other ingredients, but it's not crab, it's pollock actually, which is a white fish. Pollock was harvested in cold waters because there was a market for the roe of the fish. That is to say, the fish eggs, the caviar. And they would harvest the eggs and pitch the fish back into the ocean. Well, that was awfully wasteful. Somebody came up with the idea they would take the pollock and process it with some binders and a few things that I can't pronounce, and come up with surimi, or crab with a K. It's not a bad product. It's not terribly good for you, but it's not a bad product. But it's not crab either. So this is, I think it was 2 for $5. That half pound was about $13. There's a difference. Can you make ragoons with this stuff? Absolutely. All our Chinese restaurants locally do. Is this a little bit better? You're making it at the house for folks you love? Splurge a little bit. Okay. With that said, this bowl has nothing more than cream cheese and a little green onion. That's it. That's everything that's in there right now. We're going to add a few things. Most of the liquid. This is seasonings. There's a little soy sauce, a little Worcestershire sauce in there. Worcestershire sauce seems an odd thing to put into what should be a Chinese dish, but Worcestershire sauce has a lot of varying taste. It creates the sense of umami. It's a good product. We're going to put it right on in. So now we have ugly cream cheese with a little green onion. Get everything mixed up well before we put our crab in, because we don't want to break that crab up. We paid a fairly premium price for it. We want to keep it as nice, as natural as we can. So, and goes our crab. Now, this is not the same kind of crab you make crab cakes with. The jumbo lump, it's all white, pretty, but for our filling, for our wontons, to make ragoon, it's going to be just fine. So, all we have in there is our cream cheese, a little green onion, soy sauce, and Worcestershire sauce, so that's acting as our seasonings, and our crab meat. So there's not much to cover up our nice crab. We are going to take wonton wrappers. You can buy them anywhere. These came from the Price Less store. You get them at Miss Kroger's, Mr. Walmart, the Asian food stores are everywhere. And we're going to take our cream cheese and crab filling and fill our wontons. This little bowl is nothing more than cornstarch slurry. So it's just cornstarch and water. It's going to act like super glue though. Sit down. Couple different things we can do here. We can keep life simple. Put a teaspoon in the middle. Load them over to death. All the air out. And there you go. We can do that. Or we can take a little teaspoon, put it in the center, then bring all four corners up to the middle. Takes a minute longer, makes a little nicer presentation. You're doing this for the faux shalom. Why not? You get a little parcel out of the deal. Squeeze all the air out. And regardless how we decide to fill them, the next step's going to be they'll go into the deep fryer. The crab's pasteurized, it's ready to eat. Cream cheese is ready to eat. The onion will keep a little bit of a bite. So really all you need to do is warm it through and fry the wontons. That's it. So I'm going to be doing this for a few minutes and we'll come back and visit again.
Welcome back to EC3 Really Cooks. It is Chinese takeout day, and one of the staples within the takeout community is egg rolls. And so we're going to do egg rolls for you. Egg rolls are not difficult to do. They are a little time consuming. And make sure that you get all of your stuff together because you want to cook as many as you can at one time because it does take a little bit of prep time. And once you get everything kind of laid out, it does make a mess, especially if you're doing these at home. But today we're going to show you how to properly make egg rolls. So the first thing we do, we've got several different types of vegetables in our filling. You can use these ingredients. You can add in different types of protein. Shrimp's always good. There's some that are chicken and pork, egg rolls, so on and so forth. I will tell you one of my favorite egg roll combinations actually is buffalo chicken and mozzarella cheese. And then you have a little bit of a red sauce to dip it in. It's phenomenal. That is absolutely one of my favorite egg rolls that I make. Now, the most basic and what we're going to do today, we have cabbage, carrots, celery, onion, and then a variety of other little things. One of the other dishes, and we did not show this, but you take one egg and mix it up, get it on your pan, and you're going to make somewhat of an omelet, but with only the egg. Spread it out. You want to flip it one time, add some salt, pepper to it, and then we're going to get it, we chop it up, and we've actually already chopped it into this mixture. So there is egg that is also in here. Now, we also have some dry ingredients. We have salt, pepper, and some granulated garlic. We're going to add this in as well. Give this a good stir. Egg roll wrappers, at most Oriental food places, Asian food, will have them. There's a difference in egg rolls and spring rolls, but getting egg roll wrappers is not a difficult thing to do. Now, one thing if you're going to store egg roll wrappers is you need to store them, you need to have them frozen. When they thaw out, they get very pliable and will actually come apart. So we're going to lay our egg roll down. We're also going to add, I forgot, some soy sauce to our mixture. But we're going to start off with our egg roll wrapper in kind of in the diamond shape. And we're going to take a small scoop of our mixture. And you want to put it not necessarily right in the center, a little bit closer to you than center. You'll see why here in just a second. I like to fill mine up quite a bit. Next thing, and this is one of the more important steps in this process, we have a cornstarch slurry, which is just cornstarch with water. This is very important. So we're going to kind of paint our sides. And why that is important is because we eventually need these to hold together, and the sides will do it. So you always start with the corner that is closest to you. And we're going to wrap this over, and we're going to try to get this as tight as we can. So I've got one complete wrap, or one, I guess, cycle. I'm going to pinch in the sides, fold those over, and then I'm going to roll it all the way out. And then set it aside. So we'll do this one more time. Your egg roll wrapper. Here. Take some of our mixture. More. And again, this is a very, very messy process. Next thing we gotta do is have our tater corners. Again, it's kind of like the glue. So I want to pack this in as tight as possible. After I've got it to about the center, I'm going to pinch in. And the reason why you pinch those in and make a really good seal is that when it starts to cook, there is still water and liquid inside the carrots, inside the onions, and that will start to heat up, and it will actually steam it from the inside, keeping everything in there. If you have a hole, it kind of all comes out. It's going to come out into your oil when you're frying it, things of that sort. So we're going to make up a couple of more. We're going to drop these in, and we'll come back at the end and see our finished product. Welcome back to EC3 Really Cooks. It is Chinese Takeout Day, and today, right now, we're going to do fried rice. Fried rice takes a little bit of time to do because there's a lot of different parts that go into it. The first thing we talk about the rice, you want to make your rice at least a couple of hours prior to doing the fried rice part. Once you have made it, put it into the refrigerator. Cool rice seems to make better fried rice. So we've already done that. We have that set aside. And so we're going to start actually with our wok. Now we're going to use sesame seed oil this time, or sesame oil, sorry. It's a little bit thicker, it has a higher burn point, so it won't break down quite as quickly as some other oils, like your vegetable oils and things of that sort. So it's just a couple of tablespoons of that. And again, a wok will heat up really, really quickly. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to add in our vegetables. So we have onions, carrots, and celery. A lot of times you can add in peas if you wanted to. There's other mushrooms if you wanted to, something like that. So we're going to cook these. It's going to take a couple of minutes. And what you want to do is have the vegetables become tender. Again, you don't want the very crispness, especially in this part, with the celery that's going to be there. Soften the carrots just a little bit. You're going to caramelize the onions to an extent. You'll look for them to go from white to more of a translucent color. What we're also going to add here when we finish, actually we have one egg that's been beaten. And then we have some soy sauce and some other things that will add to it. Always you can add salt and pepper. A tip when you're doing onions, if you ever want them to brown faster, you can add just a touch of sugar, and it'll actually start the caramelization process a little bit quicker. If you don't have sesame oil at home, that's not a problem. Might have to cook it, everything on a little bit lower temperature. We're cooking on about a medium high today. Another oil that you can get is grapeseed oil. It has a very high burn point as well. The sesame oil does add, there's a smell that comes with it that will be all over your dish. If you taste it, that's not something you want, do grapeseed oil. The only time I use sesame oil is actually when I'm doing fried rice, or when I fry up some chicken that will go into the fried rice. We have already done that as well. You can add, again, any protein you want to it. You can mix the proteins. We do that at my house, again, most of the time it's with our leftovers. If we had steak, we'll chop that up. We try to get them into about 1-inch squares. You can do shrimp, you can do any type of seafood if you want it. We're going to do chicken today. We diced it up earlier, cooked it on the skillet. And again, your vegetables don't have to be limited to this. A lot of times if you go to a Japanese restaurant, they will have zucchini, they will have mushrooms, they still have the carrots, onions, and peas as well, but there are other things that they add to it. I've seen people do it with okra, squash, eggplant. So there are a lot of different vegetables that you can add to it. Today we're just using some of the basics. These are about finished up. Again, we cooked our rice earlier today. We then took it out, we spread it out onto a bigger pan, put it in our blast freezer, got it really cold pretty quickly. For those of you at home, just put it in your refrigerator for a couple of hours. It'll cool down, and maybe even less than a couple of hours. That's kind of the fun part. Okay, what we want to do now is we're going to push our mixture out of the center as best we can, and in a wok it gets really hard to do that. But what we're going to now add is our egg. I'm going to pour this right down in the center into the oil. You've already seasoned it with salt and pepper. You want to give it a little bit of time to start to cook. Again, your wok is pretty hot. So what I do is I actually start in the very center. I'll try to tilt this toward you. And I try to start bringing in some of the vegetables. And so my circles start to get a little wider and wider. And then once I think the egg is almost finished, I'll incorporate all the rest of the vegetables. Now we're going to try to push that to the side. Do it on a couple of the different sides. We're going to add in our rice. Sorry, I'm blocking this out. Sometimes it's hard to. So, we got in our rice. Now we're going to incorporate all. We're going to add some soy sauce to it. Oops. And what you want to do is, as you're going around, you don't want big chunks of egg. So, what you try to do is chop this up as best I can. Turn off our heat. Continue to toss and walk. Now what we will do is we'll add in our chicken. We'll mix it all together. And there you have a very easy chicken fried rice. Again, we'll be back at the end of the show and we'll do our presentation of all of our different dishes today. And until then, remember on the rice, cook it early and then put it in the refrigerator or the freezer. You can cook your eggs and your vegetables all together and then add in the cold rice, and at the end add in your protein. We'll be back in a few moments.
Okay, one more dish we're going to put together real quick. Mr. Bobby made his version of General Tso's chicken. I'm going to put together a dish that has a lot of the same flavor profiles and sweet and spicy as Kung Pao shrimp. Obviously, my shrimp's in chicken. So, first thing you need to do is put together your cooking sauce. It is in that bowl right there. And it is, what is it? I don't remember. Soy sauce, sweet soy sauce, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a soy sauce that has sugar, brown sugar, some molasses in it. It's thick, it's sticky, and sweet, and still has that umami and that saltiness. If you never tried it, go try it. It's got a little bit of water, some sesame oil, a little bit of rice wine vinegar, and a touch of peppers. We need that shortly. Let it set aside. On the bin here, we've got about a pound of shrimp. I think that's 21 count shrimp. When you see a number in front of shrimp or oysters, or scallops, something like that, what that number refers to, on average, it would take that many of those pieces to make a pound. So if you have a pound of 21 count shrimp, you'd have somewhere in the area of 21 pieces of shrimp. Works out nice that way. We've got a little sesame oil. Sesame oil is pretty strong. It's made from smoked sesame seeds. I don't want all that sharpness, I guess, so I've cut it down with a little bit of vegetable oil. We've got some ginger. We've got a little bell pepper, a little white onion, a little green onion, and some crushed red chili flake. Now this recipe doesn't generally call for chili flake. We would use dried chili peppers so that you could see them in there. The reason for seeing the peppers in there is to let your friends know you're serving them something a little spicy, okay? We don't have any dried peppers, but we have a little pepperoncini. We got the dried crushed red chili. I just have to tell folks, hey, this is a little spicy. And aside from that, we have some peanuts. Little salted roasted peanuts. Calls well. I like them, and the recipe calls for them. Okay, so we've got all our ingredients set out. We've got our cooking sauce put together. We've got our wok hot. We do have a wok burner in the kitchen. It's right behind me, but it's difficult to show y'all what we're doing with my back to you and have to get a picture of top. This is a little more convenient. These are broke butane burners. They're pretty dandy for demos and such. So let's see, we've got our sauce set aside, we've got our wok heated up, then we need to add our oil. And again, this is about half sesame oil and half plain old vegetable oil. It's good and hot. That's what we want. Then we're going to add our aromatics, which is ginger, onion, the green onion, and our crushed pepper. That's done. Now we can go with our bell pepper, our white onion, give it a toss. That's actually what this is for. It's called a shovel. I like doing this. And then our shrimp cool it off because that pepper is hot. Like burns your throat hot. Now, there's not much, well, there's very little of any connective tissue in that shrimp, so we'll cook really quickly. We'll go ahead and add our peanuts to it. And as soon as our shrimp is about 3/4 of the way cooked, we're not quite there yet, we'll add our cooking sauce, bring it to a boil, and that's how quick it goes together. It's almost a don't blink kind of deal. This is a dish that you don't necessarily have to use the shrimp. You can change the protein around however you like. It's quite popular with chicken. I would like it with pork. I like pork. We're going to do a pork show for y'all shortly. Let's figure out how that's going to work. And then, as soon as that sauce cools, we're pretty much done. So, I'm going to let y'all go for a minute. We'll finish up our shrimp. Mr. Bobby and I have some egg rolls and some ragoons to fry up for you. We'll build some plates and we'll have our final presentation in a few words. I appreciate your time. Give me just a minute. We'll get this looked at. Well, folks, we did our Chinese takeout for lunch today. So we've got a couple of what will be starters. We've got our egg rolls, excuse me, and we've got our real crab ragoon parcels. And you see how quick and easy things go together. We've got some chicken fried rice, vegetarian, making plain fried rice. Mr. Bobby's General Tso's chicken is quite tasty. I gave it a little tasty taste. And my Kung Pao shrimp. A little on the spicy side, a little on the sweet side. I'm kind of digging it. You get a nice crunch from that peanuts. You saw Mr. Bobby and I, we're kind of working independently, trying to get this done and that done. If you want to do this at the house, get everybody up in the kitchen at once. You can have somebody that you trust with a knife cut your vegetables. You can have kids rolling egg rolls or folding up the parcels. You're going to treat the folks you love like you love them, bring them up in there and share their wells. Folks, appreciate you stopping to visit again. I'm Roger Ramsey, ABC 3 Really Cooks, Hardin County Schools Early College and Career Center. If you run across the need for some catering, please give us a call, shoot me an email. It's a great big long-winded one. It's roger.ramsey at, no it's not. It's ec3.catering at hardin.kyschools.us. Miss Alexis Lee, she's going to fix that for me because, well, she gets a lot of opportunity to fix what I do wrong. So, but if you need any catering, remember our program's self-sufficient and our kids buy the goods that they cook and present with the money they raise through catering. Till next time, appreciate you stopping by. Y'all take care. God bless.